All right, so this is going to be interesting, man. Tiffany Haddish is apparently trying to be on the right side of everything. She's trying to get her life together, I guess, or her personal life, her relationship life. And part of her journey in trying to get this thing together, she talked about how she actually started to bring her therapist on dates so that her therapist can meet the men that she's going on a date with and then give her feedback on whether she should continue to date the guy or not. So, and she said this. I think she was on a talk show when she talked about this. So it's very public stuff, man.
Mm-mm,
But I don't think I've ever heard of anything like this before. So
mm-mm.
this says Tiffany Haddish says she brought therapists to meet her dates. Comedian Tiffany Haddish told Seth Meyers this week that she arranged for her therapist to meet her dates in person. Haddish, appearing dead serious, said on Thursday's episode of Late Night that she went through a string of therapists before she found one who made her laugh and whose judgment she trusted enough to help her find love. I started asking them to come with me on dates, come with me to different things, Haddish said. She clarified that she was not asking the therapist to attend her comedy performances, but to meet Haddish's potential romantic interest when she was out with them to see if there's somebody I should be dating. Haddish said she gave no advance warning to her dates, but did introduce her therapist when they showed up. The girls trip and Like a Ball star said she got feedback from the therapist the next day, but didn't always listen. The therapist was telling me don't date that person, she said. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. And then I would date them anyway. And then I was like, oh, dang, the therapist was right. Haddish didn't specify when exactly this vetting had taken place in her life, but the I Curse With You Joy author recently revealed that she's been celibate. I think I only got so much soul left, and I don't want to necessarily just give it over to anybody, she said during a podcast appearance. Haddish has also said that she's been sober for months following a November arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence, yada, 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 yada. So, what do you think about Tiffany Haddish bringing her therapist to the date so that the therapist can meet the date and then tell her whether she should date the guy or not without even telling the guy that the therapist was going to be there, no less?
That's
But
wild.
yeah, man. So I don't think I've heard of something like this. Not to say that it doesn't go on. I've just never heard of that. But what do you make of that?
Let's say this. If I go on a date with a woman and, and I show up and she says, "Oh, hi." Oh, and here's my therapist. And I was like, all right, well, there's the door and I'm out of here. So I'm not sticking around for that. Because at this point, if you're, first of all, I'm not knocking people who go to therapy. At least, first of all, at least she's taking some level of initiative to try to clean up her life. So I'm not shunning people who go to therapy. But to me, it's a bit extreme. And the lack of discernment should be alarming for her. She should try to learn how to develop her own discernment instead of trying to depend on a third party. And I think that's the part about this that is, it rubs me the wrong way. It's not sustainable. And if you're struggling with discernment after he already told you don't do it, or she told you not to do it, and you still go through with it, you're really struggling with decision making skills at this point. So this is a deeper rooted issue than having your therapist be your quick fix for whenever you're going out and playing pawpaw or mama and saying, "Hey, this is not a good friend for you." You should be able to have that level of discernment yourself, I would say. And one could say she's going to therapy to help fix that, but bringing the therapist along, I don't think that's helping the exercise. I think that's more of a coddling type of move instead of trying to get out there on your own and take your own lumps. So on one hand, it could be seen as her trying to take her life back, but it also seems like a desperate attempt to take one's life back, and one she can afford to do. And so, but if circumstances were different, she would have to look within herself, which is why she's going to therapy, but to look within herself and try to mend those areas that that clouds her decision making. So I can't say that I'm for this. And again, if I showed up to a date and she says, "Here's my therapist," I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I might, I'm like, is he paying for this? Like, is she paying for, like, what's going on? Oh no, they're just gonna sit here and watch us talk. Like, how does this work? Like, what is going on here? So I can't say that I'm in favor of this. Um, Attempted a step in the right direction, but I think it's not fully thought through. So, what are your thoughts on Tiffany Haddish bringing therapists to her dates to evaluate her own partners?
Yeah, I think she's taking the involvement of the therapist to extreme lengths.
Hmm.
But this, I also kind of think that she is just a lost soul in search of answers.
Yeah,
And
true.
when you're a lost soul in search of answers, you will do extreme things in your pursuit of said answers. I I I, I somewhat understand what she's doing from this standpoint.
Hmm.
So when it comes to this relationship stuff, men and women each have a fatal flaw. Men have a fatal flaw and women have a fatal flaw. Men's fatal flaw is we are slaves to vagina and we will devalue ourselves and our worth and our merit in the pursuit of vagina, so much so that we will actually lower ourselves to paying for it as if we are going to a grocery store to buy groceries when we should not casually ever have to pay to be in the company of women. Like, I love women, but no woman, just based off of the sake of her existence alone, is so valuable that I have to pay merely to be in her presence. That to me is ridiculous.
Hmm.
But men's fatal flaw is that we will lower ourselves, we will devalue ourselves to the point where we will, you know, be such slaves to vagina that we will stoop so low as to just literally pay for it. And I'm not talking about like you going down to Miami for a week and you going to ball out, and so maybe you'll pay for some stuff, but you still got a regular life to get back to. You got reality to get back to, where that's not really what you do on a regular basis. I'm not talking about you going to a bachelor party in Vegas for a 4-day weekend, and so you're going to ball out, and maybe y'all going to drop some money and get some and be in the company of some women here or there. I'm talking about in your regular everyday life, you're at a point where you feel like your interaction with women is based upon the pretense that you have to be willing to pay for it.
Hmm.
So that's men's fatal flaw, being slaves to vagina in such a way that we have basically reduced our interaction to women along the lines of a transaction. Women's fatal flaw is decision making. That's women's fatal flaw. They have horrible decision making when it comes to choosing men. What they respond to viscerally, sexually, is oftentimes in direct conflict with what their mind tells them is the right thing for them. And oftentimes, what wins out and most greatly influences the decision that they end up making is what they respond to sexually, viscerally. It's why they repeatedly find themselves getting into these situations with guys who give them chaos, a lack of peace, the constant specter of things that they don't want to deal with, primarily cheating and infidelities and other women. I mean, we can talk about what women are willing to accept, but in an ideal situation, no one wants to deal with that on a regular basis. No
Agreed.
one desires to deal with that on a regular basis. They may
Agreed.
put up with it out of necessity, but if they had it their way, they wouldn't deal with it. But they find themselves repeatedly in these situations over and over again because they make decisions based off of what they emote to, what they respond to viscerally. And it is oftentimes in direct conflict with what their mind is telling them is the right thing for them to do. The mind is saying, this is the kind of guy that would make for the right type of partner for you. But whatever it is that gets them going emotionally, viscerally, ain't that. And it's this. And I'm going to go with this over there, even though this over there is always giving me hell. So I think Tiffany Haddish is caught up in this hamster wheel where she cannot get out of her way. And credit to her, she's at least realized that she can't get out of her way enough to
Mhm.
feel as though she has to resort to extreme measures by bringing her therapist to her dates, because she knows that if it's left up to her to make these decisions herself, she won't be able to do it. She'll continue to make the wrong decision into perpetuity. And I gotta get I at least have to give her credit for wanting to figure out how to shift her paradigm so that she can make better decisions for herself.
Yeah, yeah.
She probably been in the game for a long time. Ain't no telling how many dudes she been with. Ain't no telling how. When she talks about how she only has so much of her soul left, what you think she talking about?
Her walls.
Like that ain't literally just her soul she talking about. She talking about some other stuff too. And it only has but so much tread on the tires left.
Yeah, man.
And she don't want them tires to get bald. So, so it's like she recognizes this and she's trying to figure out for herself, how can I go about making better decisions? And like, is this an extreme measure? Absolutely. Because I'm with you, bro. If I show up to a date with a woman and she's there with her therapist, especially if I didn't know about this beforehand,
Yeah.
I may play it cool and ride it out, but there is a very decent likelihood that we will not be hanging out again.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Because that's a lot to bring to a person on a first hangout session.
Hmm.
But I feel like she's in a state of desperation.
Yeah, that's what
And
I feel
when
like.
you are when yeah, and when you're desperate, you'll do whatever. You'll do anything to get the clarity, the closure that you need. So I get the place that this is coming from for her, because she's just another, like, this is women's, the fatal flaw in women's design is their decision making. They get all of these options and they repeatedly choose a particular profile of a man. And when the same thing happens over and over again, which is insanity, doing the same thing but expecting different results, they sit there and they lament the state of relationships. Men are this and men are that. Men always do this. Men are trash. They suck. They always cheat. They blah, blah, blah. They'll never, all the stuff that women complain about. When really it's like, it's not all men who do these things. It's just the men you choose to deal with. If you figured out a way to shift your paradigm and to deal with different kinds of men, you would probably get varied results. But you don't know how to do that because what you emote to is what influences your decision making for the most part. And they don't know how to get out of their way when it comes to that kind of thing. So even though I feel like she's taking it too far, I at the same time have sympathy for her because she's trying to figure it out in the best way that she can. And good luck to her. I don't know if she'll figure it out, because even with the therapy strategy, she's still striking out because she gets the feedback from the therapist and ignores it and still goes out with the dudes anyway who the therapist say don't deal with.
Exactly.
So this is a deep rooted issue that she needs to figure out. She's going to have to reconcile
Right.
what is it in her that is
Right.
disabling her from being able to figure out how to make the right choice for herself.
Yeah, that's her problem.
Yeah,
It's not who she's dating, it's who she's attracting because she has that thing you just mentioned.
is her energy. and
Right.
and these and a lot of women, in my opinion, put out a particular kind of energy into the universe that attracts a particular type of guy, and they get desensitized to dealing with guys like this on a regular basis, that becomes their type. And then they
Mhm.
just make the decision over and over and over again, and then they complain about it because they know there's a part of them that's telling them something ain't right about it, but they can't get out of their own way. They do it anyway. Guys, do the same thing. We know we need to stop. Hey man, you need to put the OnlyFans down. You need to stop paying for women like they're actual literal sex workers. Like, bro, put the rap music down. Okay, there isn't enough rap music in the world that should be convincing you that it's normal to go out into the world, and when you're meeting women, you basically just need to treat them like they're a grocery item on a shelf that you're paying for.
It's crazy.
We do this. Yeah, so it's opposite sides of the same coin. There are aspects to each of our respective insanities that contributes to our inability to grow beyond this. But these are the fatal flaws that we got going on. Men have fatal flaws, women got fatal flaws, and she's just trying to figure out how to overcome her own version of a fatal flaw. And I don't know if this will be the answer for her, but all I can say to her is good luck.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what you were talking about, it's like her frequency is on 99.1, and she's asking her therapist to come and hey, because she wants a 103.5. So she's coming to her therapist, when her therapist helps amplify and boost her frequency to 103.5 to help her with her judgment and stuff like that. The amplifier tells her, okay, hey, yeah, this 103, yeah, this is it. Yeah, y'all good. Okay, yeah, cool. And then so when she actually gets with this person, let's say for instance that the doctor said is okay, there's still in-house things you gotta be on in order to be on the same frequency with this person. And when the doctor's gone, for who's there to make the decisions for you, to help, to be that rock, that support, and all, when that thing's gone and you're by yourself, you're back on your 99.1. And so you're gonna have to, the thing is in order for her to be in that spot, she needs to be able to amplify her own frequency. So that's the reason why I think that this is noble on paper, because she is going to therapy, but this is incomplete. This is incomplete. So yeah, so best of luck to her. I commend people going to therapy. I don't besmirch that at all. And so long as the lessons that's being learned and the information that's being gathered through your own life story, and you're piecing it all together and understanding yourself better, it should be able to help you make greater decisions. And so yeah, she just needs to stick with it and not try to find a quick fix. All right, ain't no Ozempic for this, shawty. You actually have to go through it. So it sounds like she's trying to find a quick fix for her decision making, and that's not it. And if her solution to everything is the quick fix because I'm desperate, then you know where that goes. Yeah. So she needs to hunker down, man, and and dig deeper. So best of luck to you, Miss Haddish. If I can say that, I'm not really too fond of her comedy, bro. It's just I don't get it.
Yeah, nah, yeah. But as a human, best of luck to her,
Oh yeah,
because she deserves to figure this out, for sure. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Is every single time you need to make a decision like this, you're gonna bring your therapist with you? So like,
that's crazy.
Let's say you're dating a guy, you feel like he's gonna propose. You're gonna make sure that the therapist is there every time that the guy might propose, or y'all need to buy a house together. You're gonna make sure the therapist is there to consult you on everything that's going on. Like, you can't use that as a crutch. Like, you gotta figure out what is the what is the mechanism in the brain that needs to be unlocked, that's currently locked, that is behind some kind of paywall in the brain that's preventing you from being able to make the right decision. And it's not just her. I feel like this is a thing with a lot of women. If I can speak candidly, I know I'm not a woman, but hey, man, I had a friend of mine who's a woman. She's still a friend of mine, and she used to tell me this all the time. She used to be like, "Yeah, I know the kind of guys I should be dating, but I always pick the other kind of guys because my brain doesn't win in the war against what the other thing is telling me." Like, the brain rarely wins in that equation. It's always what the rest of her responds to that ends up being what prevails in terms of how they make their decisions, and they just can't get out of their own way. And so I commend her for trying to figure out how to get out of her own way, but you also can't rely on this. It's like being it's like being on a prescription drug instead of just getting over whatever it is that you need to get over it, via natural means. Like, if you keep popping those pills, then other things are going to go wrong. So,
correct.
Yeah, I'll say good luck to her on a human level. Because yeah, she just wants to be able to get out of her own way.
What do you guys think? So let us know. Would y'all bring y'all therapist to a date, or would you entertain somebody who brought a therapist to y'all date and didn't even tell you? So hey man, let us know in the comment section. I know I ain't standing for it.
Yeah,
I'm not for that.
that's wild. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go for it.